Welcome to Courageously Go, where we will venture into places we've been afraid to go. Women of the world, we are going to start a movement towards courage. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Debbie DePietro, your host, and I'm so glad you are here. This is the show where we facilitate a global conversation about courage. Why do we do this? I believe that when we live from our hearts by choosing courage, the life of our dreams, and a better world for all are truly possible. No matter our age or circumstances, we never, ever, and I mean never, we never need to feel stuck or alone. Our essential truths are as follows. I choose courage. I use my voice. I embrace the new. I welcome challenge. I continue to grow. I am a woman of action. I courageously go. And if any of those statements resonate with you, then you are most definitely in a good place here with us. So without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce today's guest to you. Her name is Jennifer Louden, and she is a personal growth pioneer who helped launch the concept of self-care with her first best-selling book, The Woman's Comfort Book. Since then, she's written 6 additional books on well-being and whole living, with 1 million copies of her books in print in 9 languages. Jennifer has spoken around the U.S., Canada, and Europe, and has written a national magazine column for Martha Stewart magazine. Plus, she's been profiled or quoted in dozens of major magazines. 2 of Brené Brown's books, Daring Greatly and Dare to Lead, appeared on hundreds of TV, radio shows, and podcasts, and even on Oprah. Jennifer has been teaching women's writing and self-care retreats since 1992 and creating a vibrant online communities and innovative learning experiences since the year 2000. She is married to the love of her life at 50 and is profoundly proud to be mom to Lillian and bonus mom to Aidan. Jennifer, welcome to Courageously Go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you because I remember your book. I mean, I had your book a number of years back, and I think as we chat, we'll have a lot in common. I know you spent some time up in the Pacific Northwest, as did I, and so let's just dive in. What's going on in your life? What are you excited about these days?
Well, I can't say I'm excited about anything right now because I had a really crappy writing morning.
Uh-oh.
So right now, I just really want to crawl back into bed. It's snowing here, and I just want to get a cup of tea and go but this, of course, is what it really means to live a courageous life. It's these days and it's these moments when we're trying to make something we want. In this case, I'm writing a new book. And it doesn't go the way we want. And our minds aren't working, or our thoughts aren't working, or our presentation goes badly, or the client says no. And what do we do in these moments? I think that's what's really where we make our courage real. So I'm practicing that this morning.
You make a good point because life doesn't always go smoothly, and we don't always get our way. Things don't always. I mean, I struggled with that when I was younger, having setting high expectations and getting disappointed. And then I really think it's often how we react to circumstances. And you're right. So there are times when you do just want to stay under the covers and have your cup of comfort tea, though. And so you say it's snowing. So for our listeners' benefit, I know where you are, but where are you speaking from today? Where are you?
I live about 12 miles from Boulder, Colorado.
Okay, so you're having a little springtime snow, huh?
Yes, and interestingly enough, the Front Range gets most of its precipitation, in the spring. So we're real happy.
Wow.
It's a nice green year, and everything's pinking up, and it's great.
That sounds nice. I live in Florida, but that sounds really cool. That sounds nice.
Yeah, I love living here. It's a truly expansive place where people do a lot of courageous things.
Mm-hmm. As I was sharing with you earlier, my book that I have out, Short Morning Prayers, is published by Blue Mountain Arts, and they're located there. So I've never been there myself. So it's on my list. It's on my short list actually as a place I want to visit. So
Great.
you mentioned that you are working on a new book, and it sounds like this morning was a little frustrating, but maybe are you ready to tell us at all about it? It's
Sure.
about, or okay.
Yeah, the title is Why Bother?
Okay.
And the subtitle is Discovering the Desire to Find What's Next. And it's
Mhm.
about all the moments in life, like the small moment of this morning, or the bigger moments that might happen across our life or in our marriages, our work, our careers, our calling, our sense of making a difference in the world with the giant problems that the world is facing. And when we kind of shrug and we feel burned out, that we wonder why bother. And lots of my own personal stories about my different why bother times, including a particularly long, dark stretch about 10 years ago. And what I find and what I found in writing this book and researching it and thinking about it for quite a long time is that why bother is actually a great question. It sounds so, as one friend said to me, wow, that's really depressing. And actually, it's not. I know that there are many passages, both small and big, in our life. And we need to stop and say, what do I bother about and why? And where is my why bother? Have I outlived it? Where did I not step over the threshold when it was offered? Where did I go back and kind of rearrange the deck chairs, thinking I'd have a different boat by doing so? And where am I living somebody else's bother, right? Or where did I never ask myself in the first place? Or where is something calling me, but I'm rightfully asking, do I have it in me to go for that again? Or do I need to approach it in a different way? Or has that calling is it too big for me? So there's so many dimensions of it. And I'm more than 3/4 of the way through the first draft, and really was going fantastic. But the last few weeks have been a little rocky.
Oh, well, that's really interesting. I'm a big journal writer, and that would be a really good journal writing prompt. Why bother? And you just write, and then I mean, I can see how thinking like that will really kind of help you focus on, maybe what you don't want or what's not working any longer for you, and just hone in on what does currently matter for you and what you do want in your life moving forward. That's kind of what it suggests to me anyway.
Yeah, and also that's sort of the thesis that I've come upon, the idea that I'm telling people, and we'll see, I think everyone can approach it in their own way, is that this is a natural creative process of life. And we all come to places, we come to dead ends, we come to places that are lifeless. And the natural creative process, or I've been using the metaphor, the river of life, from one of my favorite Rilke poems, is there for us. Like, life doesn't give up on us, but we get in the way, or we give up on life. That we can trust this natural creative process. We have to work with it, but we don't have to effort it. We have to collaborate with it. We have to wake up to it. We have to work to train our brains to see where life is calling us, where wonder is calling us, where curiosity is calling us. But it's different than this maybe sometimes place that can get us into the why bother, which is what you mentioned earlier, which is setting really high expectations, or really kind of fundamentally believing that we can't trust ourselves or that we're not enough.
Well, are you finding in this project and your research, I think there's probably a pretty high rate of burnout right now in our society, of people of all ages, not even necessarily women our age, but I think there's burnout, there's a sense of overwhelm, and some of so what do you think is causing that?
Well, partly I joke often when I'm teaching that we're being asked to become not human. We're being sort of encouraged, cajoled, and pressured by culture and technology to not to surpass what is humanly possible. And while we can be very inspired by that, like let's say when we watch the Olympics or we watch, Steph Curry play basketball, we're like, yeah, that's amazing. That's not human. But it's creeped in a way as well through technology, but also through our culture in a way that's making us feel ashamed to just be a human who needs to sleep, who needs the weekends off, who needs to sit down and enjoy a meal with friends and family. Yeah. And I think that embracing the human scaled life and sort of returning to reality of what are my actual needs and it's difficult. I mean, we're living in a time with a great wealth gap. We're living in a time where the commoditization of everything, it kind of makes it sometimes very difficult on a physical and financial level to be a human. But I think that's really at the root of our overwhelm. Yeah. And we're also living in a time where we're surrounded by technologies that are increasingly complex and addictive. And while some of the conversation in the media and in Silicon Valley is, we're talking about that, it's still not changing. And I don't think it is going to change. So it's going to take a tremendous amount of cultural blowback and working together as humans to say, how do I create spaces in my life where I'm not being inundated by beeps and tugs and text and twists?
It's a lot, isn't it? I mean, I have, my iPhone will tell me, how on average, how many hours I spend on, screen time. And it just blows me away. It's crazy how much time. Now, granted, I make a living, as a writer and a social media manager. So I am for a living on the screen a lot, but still that's a lot. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. And I find that if I can discipline myself, at bedtime to put the phone away or maybe, before dinner, sit outside in the patio and just literally just watch the birds and keep my phone in the house and keep my laptop in the house and just get off, just unplug for a little while. I feel that humanity, the human part of me coming back a little bit, Yeah,
it doesn't take much, right. But it does take the realization that the technology, it's not a moral failing. Let me say, it's not willpower. Our brains are being hijacked, and it's not because anybody has a nefarious agenda. It's just the way that everything has evolved. So we have to realize that when that phone or that laptop, that iPad, whatever screen it is near us, there's a part of our brain about 4 times every second that is scanning our environment to say, is there anything that's going to hurt me or threaten me? And is there anything more interesting than what I'm doing? And those screens are like magic boxes that our brain says, that's more interesting. Something more interesting is going on in there. So you're right. We really do have to take it completely out of our environment for some time and turn off all those notifications.
Right. Yeah, it's really something. It's almost like we don't have any downtime anymore. You sit in your car at a red traffic light. What do? You're looking at your phone, or if you're in line in the grocery store. It's crazy. We're just, anyway, I know you get it, and we're all, it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of part of life these days.
Well, I think the thing that I'm trying to write about in the new book is that when it is too much a part of our lives, it actually interrupts the why bother natural rebirth cycle, because we never settle down. We don't settle our nervous systems down, but we also don't have time to get through the discomfort, the lostness, the questioning of these natural passages. And we keep interrupting them. We interrupt them because our daughter texts us. We interrupt them because we're scared. So we suddenly find ourselves online scrolling the news. And it's that I worry about, not only for the overwhelm and the human scaled life and the stress level, but I feel like we can really get stuck for years in sort of a washing machine of repeating the same behavior and desires when we feel this deep longing for something new, something more.
No, I absolutely. And technology aside, and just listening to you, and I can really relate to a lot of just listening to you and just that emphasis on being a human being and not so much a human doer,